Hello everyone. Welcome to Happy Science Meditation Seminar. I'm Bob Imai, Minister of Happy Science. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, let us recite Prayer to the Lord. Prayer to the Lord. Our Lord, Alcantara, you are the source of all light, all power, all wisdom, and all love. May you give us light, give us power, give us wisdom, and give us love. O Lord, our Father, please protect this planet of love earth. Protect us from all evil, and open a future for us. O Lord, thank you for giving us light. We give thanks from the bottom of our heart. Thank you again for joining us today. Today's seminar is on prosperity thinking. In this seminar, I would like to speak on the subject of prosperity thinking. Looking at the current state of US and all of the other nations of the world, I feel that prosperity thinking is the way of thinking needed now. It seems that an ideology that is threatening to plunge the world, including US, into unhappiness is rearing its head once more. So I strongly feel we have no choice but to fight the war of ideologies. In other words, I want to fight against the spirit of poverty ideology using prosperity thinking. People in this world place far too little importance on the power of the mind. They usually say it's a matter of emotions, or it's just a matter of how you feel. However, this means people who think in these terms are still worldly. For such people, it is highly likely that even if they have faith, they still only understand about 10, 20, or perhaps 30% of their own spiritual selves. Your life will change when you can recognize yourself as a spiritual being more than as a physical being. Phenomena different from what has been happening to you will also start to occur. This signifies that your worldly view has changed. What I really feel is that people have way more power than they think they do. What suppressed this power is impossible thinking that is put down on them by other people in the course of carrying out their everyday lives in this world. People teach you and get you accustomed to limited thinking, such as you'll never be able to put that off, even if you try. This is impossible, or there is a limit to that. As a result, what often happens is that this kind of thinking becomes second nature. forming a smaller you inside. However, as far as I have seen, every person who succeeded had the habit to think, what do I need to do to make myself big? And believe that he could do it. I think only people who thought in that way were able to express success. If I may add, there is still an area that is slightly incomplete. This is to say, a great many people have yet to acquire the power of faith in its true sense. For example, there are many people who limit themselves with materialistic reasons and think, this is impossible. And there are many people who, when faced with some kind of obstacle or resistance, completely lose their will and energy and unable to get back again. However, what I found is I'm becoming more and more convinced that happy science teachings really are universal and that these teachings are applicable to people all over the world, even in areas where the ideology, beliefs, religions, and people are different. Happy science teaching touch a common chord. People can understand happy science teachings regardless of whether they are Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, or Buddhist. I fully understand the reason why Europe and US are suffering right now. The US is trying to become like a Japan, but is suffering because it can't fully become like Japan. The US is trying to Japanize itself, but that effort isn't going too well. That's to be expected. The ground that the American culture is built upon is different. So there's no way the United States could do the same things Japan does. Japan must be the new role method, a new role model. Currently, the EU, European Union, which is comprised of multiple countries in Europe, is also having trouble operating. Before, Greece and other member states are on the verge of bringing down the entire EU. Germany is trying to do what it can do, save them, but it hasn't been able to do so. Now is the time for Japan to the role model for the world. Where can this new role model be found? Taking an objective view over Japan, I strongly believe that the future is in happy science. I can say with confidence, look at happy science and you'll see the future of Japan and the world. You will see the future of the world. I can understand very much the desire of the people of the world to study the teaching of happy science. In Asia, in Africa, all over the world. People who study the teaching of happy science really seeing a picture of the future. They are looking at our attempt to create the ideal state of the future society, which is what we are doing now. Happy Science goal is to do whatever we can to create a religious nation that can serve as a role model for the rest of the world. You can disregard the spiritual aspect if you are trying to establish faith. Of course, you'll see many examples of worldly prosperity. People in the world won't be able to understand the importance of religion unless these kind of visible events occur. But at the root of these things lies something spiritual. In other words, I'm trying to lay the foundation of an ideology which states your spiritual awakening and spiritual self-awareness will help you to prosper in this world. For example, Sri Lanka is a country of Hinayana Buddhism. Hinayana Buddhism was established by emulating fundamental Buddhism and has been since. Due to this, Sri Lanka has constantly suffered from extreme poverty. Internal strife and conflict never seem to end there either. This is because the concept of progress is missing in the teaching of Hinayana Buddhism. In order to supplement this, Master Okawa preached on the fourfold path of love, wisdom, self-reflection, and progress are the principles of happiness. What Master did was to introduce the concept of progress into the teachings. Without this, a religion can't be future-oriented one. I believe we need to make the countries of Hinayana Buddhism change their way of thinking. The origin of prosperity lies in each person, like you. In particular, I want everyone to try to think bigger. As an individual, you need to improve yourself at least a little. This is what I mean. Not just your way of thinking as an individual, but all sorts of other things will change, such as your everyday life, the content of what you read, what goes on at your job relationship with others, including relationship at work. If you change and the way you think change, you'll acquire the salary and position that correspond to these changes. The world is indeed well made. It will give each person what that person deserves. The truth is, right now, every nation in the world is facing difficulties because of pandemic. Things are bad in Europe, the United States, in other countries too. Even China is on the verge of the imminent bubble burst and is already starting to sink. From now on, Japan will be the next world model of the world and show what it would be do. Years ago, Wall Street in New York are claiming that 1% of the people are rich, while the other 99% are poor and suffering. Mass media said, we must listen to that 99%. This is the very essence of Marxism. If mass media with such an outdated way of thinking and working this hard to support the administration, the nation can only be headed for poverty. We must find a way to break free from this way of thinking. Right now, one of the major debates going on in the United States is issue of tax hike. U.S. financial deficit is large because of many stimulus. So obviously, I understand why the government wants to increase taxes. The same is true this time around. The government is merely using a pandemic as an excuse in its proposal, increasing tax to help with the restoration efforts after the pandemic. U.S. will be in serious trouble if the government keeps this mistake idea. Happy Science is a religion that preaches teaching that serve as the center of support of this prosperity. As long as Happy Science prospers, grows, and continue expanding, this country, U.S., will prosper. We should be very much aware that we have the obligation to become the leaders of the world. Now, let us watch Master Oka's video, The Creation of Wealth.
The next theme I would like to discuss is the creation of wealth. There are many people with a religious disposition who see money negatively, believing it is wrong for them to have wealth. This is true of followers of both Buddhism and Christianity. The important point to consider here is that a person's level of poverty depends on the degree to which he or she feels wealth is wrong. Someone who believes strongly that possessing wealth will make it impossible for them to enter heaven will never become rich. If that is all they believe, it is not a big problem. However, if they envy those who are rich and begin to criticize them, they will create hell in their own hearts. This is an example of the disharmony that self-constraint can create. If you simply have no desire for money or other forms of luxury, and have no attachment to them, then this could be considered a virtue. However, if you start to castigate those who are affluent and tell them their wealth will banish them to hell, a dark smog will begin to cover your mind, and you will create an inner hell for yourself. Once you begin to bind yourself by exhibiting a tendency to criticize others, you had better watch out. To find a solution to the problem posed by wealth, you have to ask yourself why wealth
なぜそれ
exists.
があるのかということを考えたらいいと思います。
Wealth can refer to money or to other assets.
お金以外の資産とかいろんなものであることがあるでしょうけど、
But why does it exist?
それがあるんだろうか。
The reason wealth exists in this world
実在界にも
is a way of expressing the richness
豊かさというものの
that exists in the real world.
私は思うんです。
The real world is not a poor
決
place.
して貧乏ではありません。
Wealth takes a variety of forms,
あるし
and there is a law that states the pure in
生き
heart
ている人たちは
will receive whatever they wish for.
という法則があります。
The inhabitants of the real world all live in purity, so they are all
と
prosperous.
ころが
However, the way in which wealth is expressed in the real world does not exist in the three-dimensional world, so people try and use money as a substitute means of expression.
ある程度表現をしようと努力しているんです。
Of course, wealth does not necessarily have to be money, but money is a convenient form of expression.
があるんだと私は思います。
The question is how money is used.
利用するか使用するか
In other words, good and evil in relation to wealth in this world
および使用目的に
depend on the motives and intentions of the user.
そのように思います。
It is regrettable that wealth causes so many people to stumble. If we really want to help improve the world, those who are pure in heart must teach others how to use wealth correctly. We must also make sure that wealth is created in the correct way. If this can be achieved, the world will be a better place. Wealth should be channeled toward the construction of an ideal society here on earth. This is important, as wealth is the means of achieving happiness for a greater number of people. Here I would like to say that no one can bend other people's principles. If you believe in purity through poverty, then no one will oppose you. However, if you do decide to live this way, you must also decide not to feel jealous of others. If you are content to live in honest poverty, then that is your decision as an individual. But you should never judge others. Never express jealousy or envy. If your decision to live in honest poverty becomes tainted by envy, then poverty itself will be transformed into something negative. If poverty leads to jealousy of the material possessions of others, your heart will become clouded, and poverty can be considered wrong. If you discover this negativity in yourself or in those around you, you need to fight to vanquish it. So if you want to live a life of honest poverty, do not envy others. If you cannot help being jealous, then make an effort to break out of poverty. It is important to set goals to create a certain amount of wealth and make the effort necessary to achieve them. There are three basic principles for the creation of wealth. The first principle, which has always been true, is thrift. That is to say, economy, frugality, and cutting out waste. That is the starting point. If you are wasteful or live an extravagant life, no matter how much money you have, you will gradually use it all. There is a proverb that runs, the third generation goes back to the mill. The first and second generation work hard and expand the business, but the third generation cause the company to go bankrupt. In most cases, this is because the third generation allow their lifestyle to become too grand and forget the hard work. And as a result, they waste their money and soon find themselves ruined. This is true in both corporate and private life. And that is why I say that thrift is vitally important. However, that is not to say you should become a miser. Unfortunately, misers never achieve real wealth either. So I am not recommending that you begrudge every penny you spend. I suggest you avoid waste. It is important that you are moderate in your use of money, so as to not waste the good fortune you have. The second principle for the creation of wealth is that money accumulates around those who know how to use it. It will not suddenly appear in the middle of a field, but it will come to those who know what it is for. Huge sums of money accumulate in banks, and the reason for this is that banks can use this money to produce more. Because they understand how to use it, the money comes to them. The same is true on a personal level. Money will accumulate for those who know how to make use of it. For instance, if you decide that you want to build a house of your own, you will work harder to acquire the necessary finance. Or if you have a lot of children and want to see them all through university, you will have to increase your earnings to achieve this. In this way, money comes to people who know how to use it. So if you feel that you would like to become wealthier, it is important that first you have a clear idea of how you intend to use the money. People who feel that they do not need money will never become rich. Even if they do succeed in acquiring a certain amount of wealth, it will only be on a limited scale. Real wealth only comes to those who have a clear idea of what they want the money for. All over the world, wealth is overflowing, looking for those who know how to use it. If these people appear, the money will automatically flow to them. In this way, money is like blood in a body. It flows to the places where it is needed most. There are a large number of people in the world who possess a lot of money but do not know how to use it. That is why, when someone proposes a good idea about how to make use of money, wealth will automatically flow to them. A good example of this is a new business. When people start a business, they find that the necessary capital will come together. Banks will invest in their business, as will partners. Someone may appear and provide office space, so help comes from many different directions. It all begins with good ideas that move people's hearts. These attract energy from different places, which in turn summon wealth. Wealth will gravitate to people with ideas and enthusiasm. In other words, people who know how to use it. It is important to have noble ideas about how to use wealth. The third principle is the same as that of the laws of the mind, which is, people who give will receive. If you succeed in gathering wealth, you should not try to monopolize it. Wealth will certainly circulate to you if you try and use it so as to contribute to improving the lives of others and bringing them happiness. In other words, if you use your money just for your own sake, it will gradually disappear. But if you try to use it for the sake of as many people as possible, you will find that it will continue to grow and multiply. Love and wealth are given to those with a giving heart. They circulate and return to the giver and accumulate to create even greater wealth. So to achieve infinite development, you need to learn to share your wealth with others in the same way that you share love. This is not to say that you should give your money to beggars. It is important that you use it so that it is able to be of service to others in many different ways. As you go about creating wealth, I would like you to bear this in mind. And remember that having greater influence through wealth is not something negative.
Thank you, Master Okawa. Now let us check out mindset, if we have prosperity thinking or not. We are going to check your mindset if you have impossible thinking, limited thinking, or realistic thinking, such as you'll never be able to pull that off, even if you try. That is impossible, or there is a limit to that. So please change your mindset to prosperity thinking, such as, yes, I can, or think big. Firstly, let us recite prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. Prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. My guardian and guiding spirits, deep inside of me, you are the fountain of life, the light of hope, the source of wisdom, and the shield of courage. Every day may you help me develop my soul and refine my mind. Every day may you give me inspiration and show me the right path to follow. Please protect me from all evil and guide me in living a better life. For this I give my thanks. Please begin the contemplation. Please end your contemplation. How was your mindset? Do you have prosperity thinking, or impossible thinking, limited thinking, or realistic thinking? Please change to prosperity thinking. Now let us practice meditation. Meditation to increase your income tenfold. So that is increase your dream or think big, 10 times your income. That is a part of prosperity thinking. Just follow the guidance of Master Okawa. Please begin.
Our first meditation is called Meditation for Increasing Your Income Tenfold. What if your income were 10 times what it was now? If you can visualize yourself having 10 times more income, you get closer and closer to making this goal a reality. Now, meditate on the actions you would take if your income increased tenfold this very day.
はい。じゃあ、
Open your eyes slowly. How was it? You can think about either your personal income increasing tenfold or your company's revenues. At any rate, by constantly thinking about what you would do if your financial base were 10 times as much as it is now, that vision will get closer to becoming reality. This principle is almost without fail. If you can picture yourself being your regular self when your income increases, then you have the capacity to receive such an increase. If you're unable to do this, then your ability to visualize it is not enough yet. Therefore, regardless of whether you have your personal or company's future in mind, constantly having a mental image of what you want to do when your financial base is 10 times larger, that image will close the gap between your desire and reality. It may happen in as little as 1 year, or it may take 3 or 5 years. If you constantly have an ideal image of yourself, it will become reality. By holding on to the image of your income increasing 10 times, what you need to do in order to make it reality will become clear to you. This is something achieved through meditation that cannot be accomplished through regular self-reflection. There's no form of self-reflection that will increase your financial standing tenfold. Through this meditation, you will see the status of your company's or personal finances 10 times what they are today. From there, you'll be able to trace backwards through what it is you need to get to that point. The image that you paint in your mind is that of yourself achieving your goals in the future. We talk about increasing tenfold often here at Happy Science. Every year we talk about increasing our membership many times over, and these goals have been achieved within 1 year. I believe that since our progress is fast, you would have absolutely no problem imagining tenfold growth within 1 year, or perhaps within 2 years.
Thank you, Master Okawa. How was the meditation? Could you increase the income tenfold and realizing your dream or mission? Master Oka's teaching, Kyoten, Book of Truth, is the love of God, which is trying to make all the people in the world happy. If you can become happier, this is the proof of love from God. Please study the truth and put into practice. Once you recognize the love of God, please try to share it with others by giving the kyoten to the people around you. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'll see you next week. By that time, salam and bye-bye.